Hello, everybody. Welcome to CCCcast, where two corvids and a cat discuss music and maybe, perhaps in the future, even more than that. Today, we
who
are
knows?
continuing our Autechre Marathon with perhaps Autechre's most critically acclaimed album. It depends on who you talk to. In subsects, I think for most people, this is their most critically acclaimed album. Their third album, Try
If
Repetae.
you just go onto a random music rating site and look up Autechre, this is probably going to be the highest rated one.
Like Rate Your Music. Actually, it's not the highest rated one on Rate Your Music anymore. It depends because Rate Your Music is stupid and doesn't categorize things the way they should. LP5 is rated higher, but it also has like half the amount of ratings. As far as this is kind of their most well-known album. I think it is
their hit album.
Yeah, it's the album with the most ratings. It's kind of the album that I think people will usually get into Autechre with. It was one of my first albums getting into Autechre back in 2017, and then I listened to Confield, and I thought everything was terrible. And I never listened to them again. And then that opinion changed.
Without listening to it again, that's a real achievement there.
Yeah. So before we dive into the album, I just want to say that we did receive a single email.
Oh yeah.
We received one email from somebody.
We remembered to put the email in the description this time.
Yeah, thank you, Amity, for doing your one job. I'm joking. She does more than that.
Yes, she does a lot.
From Master Boss Pro LP. The title of the email is called A Bloody Email in It. I'm assuming Master Boss Pro LP is British. But the email reads, this is about Amber, because Amber was, of course, last week, and it reads, Oil does not sound like liquid metal. It sounds like paper. Ripped paper in it. So that's just a thought. I can see this.
One of the sounds in there is like ripped paper.
Yeah, I think it's the sound that I was trying to say. It sounds like oh yeah, okay. Yeah, we were talking about a different sound. I think the main percussive sound sounds like ripped paper. I agree with that. But the liquid metal is kind of like the droney bit. So it's just sounds because Autechre is impossible to pin down. I guess
we're gonna be saying all kinds of crazy shit across the course of this.
Yeah, especially later on.
Yeah.
Today has one of the a teaser of kind of the consistency of what every single track is going to be like later on. I guess we can just jump right into it with Dael.
Oh dear God.
Immediately what strikes me about this album, this song, is the sound design, which I mentioned that the sound design on Amber is an improvement over Incunabula, and I think immediately, just like how Amber immediately makes you be like, okay, this is a sound design improvement. Try Repetae does the same thing with that cool ass, like pulsing, tightening sound that kind of kicks off the entire thing.
Like with Amber and Incunabula, they despite the sound design progression that happened between the two, I still think they still had a lot of similarities, and they had a similarly kind of smooth and ethereal tone to them. But this is just kind of from the start something very different.
Yeah, I think this album is a lot more menacing than Amber.
I can't
remember if I was I can't even remember if I was the one who said that Amber was menacing or not.
You were, yeah.
I was. Okay, I think that this album is even more menacing.
I can see that.
In how it's very dark. I should note.
I'll let you go ahead after this, but I'll just say that immediately I get a really kind of industrial and metallic kind of feel with this album, which is kind of like a pleb tier take on its atmosphere.
Very pleb tier take.
Yeah, but keep going.
Yeah, so I just want to say that this is important for the whole album, I guess, and I don't want to save it for the end. I have been notorious for being a hater of this album. Not like a hater of this album, but I've consistently felt that this album was, at least with the way that I process music, really kind of lacking in kind of the imagery department, because that's how I experience music. It has a lot to do with the kind of imagery that I get. But somebody in Deep Cuts Discord, I can't remember who it might have been Joey. I believe it was Joey. So shout out Joey if you're listening to this, or if anybody from Deep Cuts is listening to this. Mentioned that this album sounds like nature reclaiming kind of machinery and kind of like the kind of the kind of machines and the the mechanical sort of things. And I immediately clicked with that. I thought that was such an interesting way to phrase it, and I've never seen anybody phrase it that way, because people always say that this album is like, oh, it's just like industrial. It's like big factories making things. And so I think that having that sort of idea of nature reclaiming it, first of all, it falls way more in line with my view of Autechre being an artist that, first and foremost, writes about nature. This is gonna. I know that this sounds like I'm a fucking weirdo, that I'm insane, that I'm fucking crazy. But honest to God, I think that Autechre, a lot of Autechre, so much brings such natural imagery to my mind, even if it's in like a surreal, twisted sort of way. I mean, I think that this has helped me to basically have most of the album click.
Holy shit.
And that was immediately apparent with this track, because I was like, okay, I went into it with the idea that some sort of nature taking over the mechanical sort of thing, and kind of like this post-apocalyptic world where humans have all died and the factories are all abandoned.
Oh my fucking god.
And I mean, like, in a way, like, post-apocalyptic, whatever, is kind of cliche for Autechre, but whatever. But sometimes cliches are accurate, and in this case, I think that it's really, really accurate. I think that this album really just does feel like nature taking over and reclaiming what's rightfully its. And this track kind of feels like a sort of mourning in a way for it. It's kind of like simultaneously like a funeral for all of these like dead, broken factory parts, and these just like electronic technological things, these tools that have been made. It feels both funereal for them and also like actively acting against them, if that makes any sense.
Oh my god.
I just went on a gigantic rant.
Sicko mode. You're going fucking sicko mode already. This is gonna be insane.
I mean, this is spoiler alert, but this is one of the tracks that I have the most to say about, because it got me. It fucking got me. The way that the track slowly unfolds, a lot of the tracks on this album slowly unfold in the same way, where it kind of slowly adds in elements, but I think it makes perfect sense. These tracks always start in the most mechanical place that they will be in, and as time goes on, it feels like they are growing organisms are coming near these parts and like just using them. I think it's fucking cool. I think that this track is fucking cool.
Oh my god! Oh, I didn't expect that right off the bat. I will say. I think this track kind of reminds me of Robot Arena 2 a little bit to begin with.
Oh my god, the complete opposite. Us talking about me being like, this album is about nature, reclaiming what's rightfully out.
Technology after the
And all
apocalypse.
this pretentious bullshit, and then you're just like, Robot Arena 2. I mean, to be fair, I do also think that this album is it gives me Roblox vibes. It's both like Roblox
that.
music, and also nature reclaiming whatever music.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I get that. I understand that. Yeah, we'll talk about nature and Autechre more as we go on. I think that is also something that I've picked up on. That's a connection I've noticed as well. I think that starts to arise for me more on the later albums as they start to dive into their really, really detailed kind of era.
Yeah,
They
that's
can
fair.
really
And it
emulate.
isn't like I think that this album is like their most natural album, because it very much is not.
No.
And you know, we'll see
Well, yeah,
as
we'll
time
see
goes
that.
on. But I feel like these tracks unfurl in such a way that there is this like for example, in this track, there's this one synth towards the end
Yeah.
that just feels like, I don't fucking know how to describe it. It's like a piano, but
I
it's
know which
like
one you're talking about.
instead of like notes on a keyboard, it's like little splashes of color that's like coming through from the ruins, if that makes any sense. And it just fucking destroys me. That one synth I wrote like 10 lines saying I'm fucking doomed on it. Because it's for sound design purposes, I think that this is one of the first moments in Autechre's discography that, like, holy shit, like they've synthesized a piano. Like, I don't know what they do. I don't
They
know how they do it.
synthesized a piano. Holy shit.
Because I don't know if this is synthesis yet or not, but I don't think it is. But regardless, it sounds like a piano, except like changed up. It sounds like an Autechrized piano.
Yeah, that's one of my. I think that's probably like my favorite element of the track overall. Like,
Yeah, me as
you know,
well.
I spent a lot of time focusing myself on the more industrial aspects of it, but that when that piano synth comes in, it really just adds this splash of like melancholic, bittersweet beauty to the song. I
Yeah,
think
and
yeah,
yeah, I
it's
agree.
really beautiful.
Another thing that I'd like to point out is that this song does also have like vocal samples in it, or it sounds like vocal
I,
samples in it. And for the first time,
it's either like
in
vocal
Autechre's
samples or
career, I don't hate it.
you don't hate it.
I don't hate
Oh
it.
my
I
god.
think they work. I think they work well.
Oh, finally, you like one. The things I have been
Yay!
liking the whole time. Yeah, yeah, I think that's cool. I think there's a lot of very like subtle textural and rhythmic manipulation in this track that's like just like very subtle small things that go by very quickly, but it adds a lot more level of detail and nuance than you would get earlier on. Not
Yeah,
quite full on yet, but we're evolving in that direction for sure. Yeah, and you, I don't get whatever unbelievably galaxy brain thing you have unlocked within this, but yeah, I love all the
Okay, it
different
happens.
I love all the different synth sounds that come in. There's like a very reserved and melancholic type of one that just kind of sits there with sort of like a gray reserved kind of vibe. There's a very squelchy liquefied kind of putty like one that has
I think I
this
know which one you're
texture
talking about.
to it. Yeah. It does this very uh dark, deep, mysterious descending melody that adds this really lovely vibe to the song. Yeah, it's good. I don't have a ton more to say about it myself, but I like it, and I think it's a very good introduction to the album and the different world and very different kind of atmosphere that we have going on the album here.
Yeah. I also I don't have that much else to say, but I would like to point out that I think it's always shocking to me when people always focus on like kind of the more the mechanical aspects of their music. Because I I think that I think that the this track immediately, like especially on this album, people like to focus like, oh, it's super mechanical, and I think I even got trapped in that too, like thinking of this album as like solely just kind of mechanical or whatever. But this song immediately, with all of these lush synths, throws you into this state of melancholy.
It
It's
does.
fucking
It
awesome.
does. I
I
agree
love
with
this
that.
song. I think it's their best opener so far. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Oh, that was one hell of a start.
Do we want to? The other tracks will be shorter. Don't worry, just because I wanted to go on my gigantic rant to
I
as a
like that
preamble.
all of that stuff applies to all of these songs that are coming up as well, I think, probably.
Yeah, it does. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, let's
Okay.
go into Clipper.
We did our full album rant at the beginning this time.
Yeah,
um yeah, okay. What the fuck is going on?
Clipper. I
Clipper.
love
Yeah.
Clipper.
Yeah,
Um,
Clipper. Uh, immediately, you get a really nice textural nerd moment with all kinds of fucking warpy little
mhm.
tiny metallic detail sounds just glitching out all over the place. That that's a really cool little bit of textural ingenuity. It was made by fucking up a sampler, I believe.
Was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know any. I don't know anything about the process.
I don't know
uh,
anything about it for the most part either.
yeah,
But
I think I think that I love the intro to this track, the way
one
that
of
it
the
has
best,
that glitchy, just those fucked up glitch sounds, and it's like,
yeah,
what are you
yeah.
doing, Autechre? What's going on? Why is this thing like like the only way I can describe it is like a tape measurer like malfunctioning. That's what it sounds like to me. It
It's
sounds
like a
like
little metal strip
string.
fucking bending around and warping and slapping on itself and shit. It's
Yeah,
weird.
something like that.
Um,
Um,
anyways, after that super confrontational intro, maybe not super, but definitely at least a little bit confrontational.
hmm,
Yeah, we get thrown immediately into the main beat, which has a very, very sharp
mhm.
kind of like hi-hat. I guess that's the role it's playing. It's like a just really fucking sharp little metallic thing that I literally swear I could feel in the back of my throat last listen.
Awesome. That
Autechre
might
were
be
just
because it was 3
stabbing
a.m.
that.
when you listened to it, but
Yeah, probably.
it's still worth noting. Yeah,
Yeah, probably.
I agree. I think that I the fucking sounds on this track are insane. The way that they use like static as a percussive element in this track,
that's
which
also really cool.
is something that happened a lot on Amber, but in this track it feels like even more fully realized than in Amber, where sometimes it felt like, okay, they're starting to do stuff, and here it feels like, okay, we're committing to the bit, we're making some fucking static
That's a good way to
as
put
percussion.
it. Yes, we're committing. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It's just fucking metal sounds and static.
Yeah, and then the way that the little melody synth comes in, and it's just this like little lush, this like super lush sound.
Are you talking about like the very first one that just like slowly creeps in?
Yes.
Yes, I love that one.
Yeah.
Whenever Autechre does one of these really slowly creeping synths that like it just subtly sinks you into it, and it's just so fucking good every time.
Yeah.
Um,
I also I think that the way that this track in particular progresses throughout its runtime is especially interesting.
I
It
agree.
has this really fucking like bassy sound that comes in, this like bassy synth line that comes in as like a bass line, but it also feels like the perfect contrast to that melody that's been already set up, and it's fucking awesome.
And like that bass line I were talking about, it's one of my textures that really makes this particular song, because it's just so huge, and it's like it's just washing over you every time it comes. Just gigantic waves of delicious synth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
I mean,
sure.
yeah, and there's also around this time introduced a little pitched percussion that's like very sustained and very synth-like to me, and very hypnotic. Just adds to the whole feel of things. And yeah, then we got even like some other synth melodies that come in a little bit later, adding more layers to the progression of the song. There's like kind of a high-pitched one that's doing this really sad, bittersweet kind of melody with a little bit of bit crushing to it.
Yeah. Bit crushing,
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh God, it's so good. It's so fucking emotional, really. Autechre are very good at that. We'll continue pointing out little moments like that as we continue through their more abstract stuff. Yeah, and then you got the fucking the swingy bloopy synth. That's kind of you that one. Yes,
The
that
one
you
that's
just
like going across the stereo fields.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you got this is one of the most synth heavy songs on the album. Just you
Oh
got all
yeah.
these layers.
Yeah, this track is basically like taking this fucking badass god tier beat and like just throwing a bunch of different synths on top of each other and like
Yeah. And
seeing what works. And I guess like at its core, that's kind of like all Autechre songs, or
yeah,
a
but
lot of them. But in particular, I think that this track really focuses on the idea of building and layering uh, synth sounds in a way that earlier Autechre tracks usually don't. Um,
yeah, yeah,
because I mean,
absolutely.
there
'Cause
will
it
definitely be synths and they'll have builds, but in the kind of the way that this track unfolds, whether it's very like it becomes like more sensitive and fragile as it goes on, um,
yeah, I would say
is
that I would agree with that.
really fucking powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got all those layers, all those fucking synths. That bloopy one, I just want to go back to that because it's a little bit vapor wavy to me, but in a more
Oh my
intentional way
god.
this time. I know I'm going to get canceled for that.
1995, when vaporwave is totally, definitely a thing that existed and could be intentionally evoked.
It feels like the synth is supposed to sound more like Incunabula wasn't supposed to give me the vibe it gave me. Clipper synth is supposed to give me that vibe, even if I'm not reading it correctly, if that makes sense.
I guess so. I guess I just don't understand what vibe you're specifically talking about.
It's difficult to describe.
Anyway, I want to talk about.
Anyway, moving on.
As far as like imagery where this track goes, I like the idea that this track is like a ship. It's like a shipwreck. It's sort of aquatic because like clippers are ships. And it just
that's true. Really,
like absorbed by the sea, or it's like on a dock and it's like rotting and like dying or whatever, and it's just kind of being like invaded by animals or whatever. I know that's super vague, but yeah, that's like I think it's really cool imagery.
I think the big wave synth that's in the middle of this really helps drive that home, and some of the other textures could help that too.
Yeah. I really fucking love how emotive this track is. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, you have all the synths contributing their own little emotional textures. Like you have some sadder, darker ones, and then you have like the bloopy one that's a little bit lighter and such. It's really good. It just rides.
A lot of these tracks just sort of ride.
Yeah,
pretty much all of them do. But,
it's fucking
good. I used to see it as like a big negative that the tracks never really like fully developed in any like meaningful way or whatever that I wanted. But as time has gone on, I'm just like, okay. I think that I
just enjoy the waves coming in and out and the progression that does happen, because there is some of that here too.
Yeah, there's always some sort of subtle progression, and I think even if I think that the textures are fucking cool. Yeah. I like where the tracks are, and I like where they develop.
Yeah, there you go. But before we move on from this song, I'm just about done with it, but I would like to point out a couple little details that we get later on in it. At one point, there's this really fucking tiny sound that I mentally linked to the percussion, but I'm not really sure what it is. It's like this really fucking tiny, high-pitched thing that just kind of moves up and down, and it's like a little I picture it as like a little tiny glass rod. That's kind of just the sound it has. It's really fucking weird, small, tiny detail, but really cool, unusual sound design too.
Interesting.
I'm
not sure. I don't think I have now.
Oh yeah, You notice all kinds of things in this stupid band's music. And it has kind of like a Yoquin-esque outro. It's not quite the same, but it has like a synth that gets stuck in a delay loop, and it just creates like the psychedelic wall of repeats.
Yeah, I used to not be super big on it, but as I like it a lot more now. I think it justifies itself.
Yeah, I like it. I enjoy it quite a bit. It does have a little drum beat under it too, which is a cool.
Yeah, it has because I'm a fucking. It has like I'm a sucker
cheeky
for the
little lo-fi drum beat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's this like very lo-fi kind of percussion, and this fucking 808 cowbell.
Yeah.
I think it's very silly, and I like it a lot.
It's amazing. It's cheeky as fuck. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So that brings us. Oh no. To Leterel. Real ones know what's about to happen.
Oh no.
This fucking shitty dumbass song I say with love slash pause slash positivity. Fucking, I think that this song is excellent. I
Oh,
I I I am weak to basically every single thing that this track does. Every little detail that it employs, I'm weak to. The beat, the way that it itself is like kind of it's pitch percussion and also staticky and like fucking cool as shit. um, I fucking
yes,
the way it sounds like fucking tubes, the static, the way it gets kind of maneuvered and like glitched up in the
yes.
percussion, the melody. I fucking love 2-chord melodies, and this track is all about that 2-chord melody.
It is.
With these
Yeah.
like big like big, I don't know how to describe them. um I don't know how to describe, I mean, like, there is this like
Like
the bumes. I call them the bumes.
the fumes. Oh no. What are these things?
I it fucking, it's insane. And the way that it creates this tension, and then behind that, this fucking like wavy, bassier sort of bassline synth comes in behind it, and just fucking like all of these elements build up together, and then I just die from it being fucking overpowered. Um, this track is insane.
Yeah.
I
You know what? I honestly had like kind of a low key click moment with this track
thank you.
on my
Thank
last time.
fucking fuck. Good.
Yes.
Based. This is always, even when I crapped on when I'm like, oh yeah, Tri-Rep is like low tier Autechre bad music. This track was always the track that I've kind of been like, I've been like defending, and I'm like, you are my baby. And there's a
Yes.
specific reason for that. Uh which I'll get to.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is your moment to be that kind of nerd.
Yeah. So this song has always been like super nostalgic for me, and I think that particularly, oh my god, with with the fucking like nature idea, the kind of nature
Oh
taking
god.
over idea. This track sounds like when I was a child. I had the Cat in the Hat video game for the PS2 or the Xbox or both, whichever one I had. I had both a PS2 and an Xbox. I don't know whatever. But there is a level in that game that is like this boiler level, and I swear to God that Keith Leary, the guy who did the fucking soundtrack for that game, stole this song because the melody is so similar. I mean, like, I guess it's like, oh, okay, it's a descending one chord sort of line, but the beat is similar too. It's so it sounds like that memory I have of that game, like like being consumed
Oh
by
my
the
god.
nature or whatever, and kind of like the game itself, and like the boiler kind of idea being like consumed by like being reclaimed or whatever. I think, I
Yes.
know, I'm sorry, I am a fucking gigantic nerd, especially with this song. But I swear to God, I'm gonna make Amity post a link to the track in the description, and everybody has to listen to it and send in an email if you think that it sounds like it. If you think
Oh
that
my
I'm fucking
god.
insane, or if you think that I'm actually correct.
Okay.
If anybody else has had a similar experience listening to that song and playing that game, and this song and connecting the two. So yeah, the song
That would be
is
fucked up
always,
if you actually found someone.
yeah. So this song is very red and like fiery to me because of that.
That's an Rsdio type description. I respect that.
Yeah, of course it is. Oh my god. I just think that this song is fucking insane. And the best thing about this track to me is the way that the track builds up its tension earlier on with because the two chords going around each other, it's not a pretty thing. It's like a half step. It's like modulating a half step, and it's like it's a dissonant sort of a dissonant fucking chord progression, and it doesn't sound good. And then like 3 minutes into the track, you get this resolution where it goes into this other melody that's like a lot more lush and
I didn't really notice that.
Yeah,
Wow, that's a good catch.
It's one of my favorite aspects of the track is how it turns from the sort of like super dark that tension melody to releasing itself into this sort of sad state. And on top of that, after that, these fucking guitars, not guitars, these strings come in. That put Silverside to shame.
Yeah.
I feel like I can still tell that they are like MIDI strings or whatever, but I think that the way that they're incorporated into the song, and I think they are different strings. They might be the same strings, which would be really funny, but I think they're
a little bit different. They're similar, but like just a little different.
And the way that they're incorporated into the song and used makes them stand out so much more. And the song changes from being this like really dark, like this like dark, menacing, sort of scary song to being this like sad, mournful piece. And I fucking love this song.
Oh dear God. Okay. Are you ready for my giant fucking rant about this fucker?
Yeah, sure.
I
forgot. I forgot to let you.
This was a horrible idea. This was a horrible idea. This is gonna be like 4 hours long.
Oh my God! Whatever.
Yeah, so my video game nostalgia already got spent on this album with Dael. My Robot Arena 2 song. But like the thing about this song for me, this is what clicked about it for me. Like, whereas for me, Dael has like that. It's just kind of like the archetypal introduction to the tri-rep atmosphere. Very, it has that industrial thing that people always get from it, and then Repetae is a little bit more like colorful and bright.
Wait, Repetae? You mean Clipper?
Clipper, not fucking Repetae. I didn't mean to mention that song. Dear God, this is so bad.
It's okay.
But yeah, then this one, something about the atmosphere of this song is just like totally fucking uncanny, altered, removed from reality, bizarre dream state to me.
This is what I'm fucking talking about. The entirety of the Cat in the Hat video game is just like that, and it's the perfect fucking atmosphere. I agree with you.
Oh my God, I set you off. Yeah, you got that weird off-kilter, thin-sounding beat with all these like sheets of static and weird crumpled metallic sounds, just sketching out this kind of cheeky little groove. You got the sense that you were talking about doing just that 2-chord melody. It's like actually they're like very kind of bit crush to me and give me kind of like a bright nostalgic feeling just from the texture. but they're also playing that really dissonant, not comfortable 2-chord melody that just it's a really weird vibe, and there's also this dinistrill sound that goes with it that's just it's really tense and kind of fucked. Yeah, you got some other synths coming in. There's kind of like a shyer one that stays in the background and a more playful one that bounces around the stereo field a bit higher. You got the silver side-esque strings that I think fit a lot better in here, just because of how like removed from reality the whole atmosphere is. I think they're like a big part of contributing to that, actually. Yeah, it oh god, then you got, I think my favorite texture in the song is when that original synth takes on this kind of, it's like this rotating sort of filter
Yes.
to it.
Oh,
It feels like there's
I wanted to mention that, but I was like, I
yeah
don't know how to bring this up because I don't know how to fucking describe it. No, yeah, it sounds like
yeah
it's pulsating or whatever, and it's like rotating.
yeah, and it also feels like light to me for some reason, like it's a flashlight cone that keeps coming around into vision or something. That's what I envision. It's a really fucking good texture, and it's really quite beautiful, actually. I think it adds a lot to like the lighter feel of the second half of the song. I did notice that it did feel a little bit lighter towards the end. Yeah, it there's like a subtle, it's very melancholic in a way, a little bit. I would say it's probably, I don't know. It's fucked up vibe. It's got like a little bit of a subtle slow majesty to it as it builds. Uh, you got those other strings coming in that are like louder and higher pitched and grab your attention more. It's like eerie, dark movie soundtrack shit. Uh, just fucking good shit. Great track. Weird ass vibe.
Yeah,
And the outro is also pretty cool because it like strips everything down to just that one synth with the kind of rotating filter on it, and then
yes,
it it
yes,
puts like these noise washes over it that kind of just fade in from the distance, and they also have that pulsating, rotating kind of feel to them, and they kind of blend together in the atmosphere for this really nice ambient outro to the thing. It's just really fucking good and really fucking strange song.
yeah. I think this song is insane.
Yes.
I I think this song is one of the best
I
Autechre
don't
songs earlier on.
I don't I don't disagree. I don't disagree, you know. Yeah.
All right,
Are we
that
ready
brings
to
us
move on?
to Rotar
Oh god.
or Rotor, however you want to pronounce it.
Rotar. I
Um,
like Rotar.
yeah,
That's a pretty obvious A in there.
yeah, but letters in the English language don't work the way you want them to do.
Uh Never.
I think this song is super fucking cold and wintry.
Okay.
It clicked with me that I think this song is like this like really cold wintry night during like a snowstorm, or maybe not a storm, but it's snowing. Which it was last night,
Some
coincidentally. But I was like, this
Oh,
fits the vibe. Just like being
I
in
can
like
sort of
this
see that.
dark, surrealist area, um, with with kind of the I don't know.
Yeah, because like the song comes in and it's immediately really dark. Like, you have like that weird abrasive printer noise intro, and then it gets into that very crunchy bassy kind of beat that's just very
Yeah.
dark feeling.
Yeah, the
It's difficult.
percussion feels quite thin in like a really good way.
Yeah,
That the way that
yeah.
that sort of like bass hit as like a snare or whatever like works really fucking well.
It's both very bassy and very airy and empty feeling at the same time. It's really weird.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, and then you get that real heavy but thin but dark fucked up beat, it's actually like really truly a dark beat for Autechre. Like we haven't heard anything like this yet, truly.
Yeah, this is one of the darkest our Autechre
Percussion things that
tracks
we've had. Or
early on.
yeah, just
Um
darkest Autechre
not
tracks in general.
Yeah, like not even like stuff on Amber would be like sad, but this track just feels like dark.
Yeah.
Um and I think it
Yeah.
works really well. Um
Yeah. The synths, I can kind of see why you got like a wintry vibe from them. They do, yeah, they feel cold somehow to me now that you've introduced that thought virus into my
yeah.
mind.
Yeah, that no, I that's what I think. It's that the sort of synths that sound like really colorful. Um
Uh, yeah, um they're like very wailing, as this is the way I would describe their sound. They're like wailing synths, just going
we're talking
screaming
about
into the
different
distance.
synths. I think we're
Oh,
talking about
we are.
different synths. Yeah, you're
Oh,
talking about the what I just call them the Rotar synths.
oh.
But yeah,
The,
no, I think that those sounds too also help. Um, and add to the weird ass dark fucking atmosphere for this track.
yeah, yeah. Those are really fucking weird because they also like get glitched around and panned around, and there's like another layer that comes in, just putting little splotches of synths just in random places, seemingly.
Yeah, I think that's the one that I'm. Oh no, it isn't. Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Oh my god.
Autechre has like 5 billion sounds. Um,
Yeah,
the thing that sounds really cold and wintry to me is that one synth, the kind of the main synth that's playing the main melody. It feels really like cold and wintry and mysterious.
yeah,
Um, Mysterious is a
yeah,
very good word for it, and this track in general, I think, is one of the most mysterious Autechre songs.
yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to describe this song too. And that I think the melody that you're describing it's like very creeping and dark and a little bit majestic, dare I say?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
feels, yeah,
That's really like the anchoring chord, the vibe of the song, I think. Yeah. Then yeah, there's another synth that has like kind of a glassy feel to it that plays this very sad and slow melody to it. That it adds another little layer of a different feel to the very dark vibe of the song.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah. The track
Then,
also,
mhm.
uh, in the kind of like middle part of the track where the percussion kind of like flitters out and it just kind of has that like repeating stuck sound. Um, and
Yes.
it just has those lush synths, and then the percussion comes back in, and it's like twice
Yeah.
as like more intense, but it's still not very intense because it's not a very intense percussion in general. Um, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, like there's all kinds of interesting little percussion details that come in later. Like, sometimes it feels like it's accelerating in with the way that the different elements relate to each other. There's all these little, well, actually, I know what the break you're talking about. Yeah, there's a little tiny, very sharp, plasticky sound that gets kind of warped into an even more plasticky, artificial, just squeezed out sound. It's fucking weird but good. Yeah. And then there's another little detail towards the second half that I really like is there's this one little tiny part just for a second where there's like this one sound in the perk that's like a gaseous airstream moving almost. Like
I think I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
And just for a second, that sound gets a reverb applied to it that makes it do like a little misty, hazy burst through the soundscape just for 1 second. But it's really cool.
Which also alludes to the track basically just becoming like it's like the track evaporating into gas at the end of the track.
Oh god, yeah.
One of the coolest outros Autechre has done yet.
Yeah, oh my god. Like after it finishes playing around with all the weird rhythmic stuff, which is like another higher level up than the previous Autechre stuff on here. Like, don't get that wrong. That's been improving too. Yeah, you got that. Like everything just kind of fades out by dissolving into this hazy noise wall that just covers everything. It's just so good. It's totally blissful and wonderful way to end the track. And just makes me be a total texture nerd.
Awesome.
And yeah, there's actually one more little thing right after everything just deconstructs. One of the little, it's like a whooping noise from one of the earlier synths. Right at the end, it's just that sound repeating at a consistent length over some printer noise, and it's just like whoop, 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 whoop. And then right at the end, right at the end, it does 4 of them really fast right in a row.
And it's a really subtle way to end the track. And like it's super abrupt, but it works. It works incredibly well. I think it's a fucking awesome outro.
Cheeky as fuck little outro thing. That's Rotar.
That brings us to Stud.
Oh Jesus fucking Christ!
Which, is I think it's a good thing Amity is not talking in this podcast because Amity thinks the song is hot garbage. And I understand why. The high pitched sound, it's high pitched. It would be nice if it wasn't high pitched. But it's still. I'm usually very sensitive to high pitched sounds.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't find it that bad.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll just say that I am a fan of noise music, and in particular a fan of the artist Prurient.
My God, here we go.
Yeah. He's done a few releases that have a lot of just very high screeching feedback for extended periods of time. I've listened to the albums Black Vase and Arrowhead all the way through, which have a lot of that, and I actually enjoyed the experience, so I liked it. I like the beat on this. It is really fucking high pitched, but
I am not a high pitched fan. But the track ultimately doesn't bother me that much.
I'm a fucking weirdo.
Because I think it would be different if it was like something that was like really consistent throughout the track. But I think the way that Autechre uses it as like a part of this like folding morphing like triangular entity, like this rhombus, this diamond that is like morphing. Whatever the fuck.
This stupid thing, like all those high frequencies are contained within like this geometrically shifting beat that sounds like it's folding in on itself. It's so fucking cool, and to me it's so pleasing. It's such a good sound. No, actually, that's not the very first sound. In the very intro, we get some kind of watery submerged sounds. We'll get to that later. That's some foreshadowing.
I like the little watery sort of bloopy sounds that the song starts off with, and it's like, okay, it's gonna be a fun song, and then you get fucking annihilated by the high pitched sound of doom.
And then you get some more percussion that comes in very like slowly and minimalistically, with that sharp thing still laying out the main rhythm. And then you get the bass. What? I'll just say that after I listened to this album last night, the bass from this track was one of the parts that I had going in my head over and over again.
Yeah, the bass line on this track is fucking insane. It's mental. It's awesome.
Oh god, it's so huge, and it's very hollow and rattly, and it feels like it has like the sound of a machine running, almost like a large machine running. That not like in a way, but like in a kind of way. That doesn't describe it for shit, but
I feel you.
It has this huge, hollow, rattling texture to it that's so tasty on my ears, and the melody it plays, oh my god, it plays this descending melody that's just melancholic and dark and beautiful and mysterious and enigmatic all at the same fucking time. Oh god. Now I'm the one who's going sicko mode here.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's a track that warrants sicko moding, in my opinion.
Good. I'm glad you agree with me. You got the doom bass of absolute death and doom. Then you got that just
bass of absolute death and doom.
Yeah.
That's very good descriptor.
Very good. Yeah, you got the percussion just slowly building up, and then you have this watery filtered kind of synth that just comes in and plays just like a little short note every once in a while. It has like some watery noise trailing off of it. Feels very anticipating, at least to me. Maybe that's just because I know what comes later on, but yeah. It feels like it's taking its time just building up. You also have like some. This is really important to the song. This is an important one. Some like lighter, kind of resonant synths that feel like very bright. They're in the high range. They're like very kind of sparkly and beautiful in a way, and like just the fact that atmosphere just gets added on top of everything else that's already going is just fucking unfair,
Yeah.
That
track,
sound. It's
the track very much is just kind of like Autechre being like, hello, it's time for wake up, babe. It's 3 a.m. Time for you to get owned.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this so fucking stupid. Yeah, then eventually we get to like kind of a break in the song.
It has this stuttering sound.
Well, yeah, I was just about to get to that.
Yeah, I fucking love
Yes,
this stuttering so much.
yes. There's this little break where um it like puts emphasis on that watery synth, and then right afterwards it starts doing that thing where it just starts stuttering, and it's like just for this one synth, it's like it's doing that delay trap Yoquin thing and creating this psychedelic water curtain effect. And
Psychedelic water curtain. Oh
yeah,
boy.
yeah. That's literally what it's fucking like. This is one of Autechre's best sound design tracks to me, if not their absolute best to this point. Ugh, my God.
Yeah, I can't get too angry at that. I think that this song is sound design wise incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and then like I'm sorry. I have even more. Like during those little breaks where it's just like the more ambient bits, where it's just like the watery synth and the bass. Like there are these little tiny plucky synth sounds that they're just like little tiny water drops just falling in the pool, and they're so
yeah,
fucking. Ugh, I can't fucking help it. And then you got those tiny little snappy sounds with this huge void of delay with all this graininess to it. Just after the beat comes in, it's.
I take it you like this song
A little bit.
a little
Yeah,
bit. Okay, all right. I just want to check
yeah.
her.
It,
Yeah, I love this song as well. I think that this song uh, you've basically said everything that I wanted to say, except for talking about the outro, which
oh God, yeah, yeah.
uh the way it kind of takes the sort of the sort of delay idea of Rotar, the kind of way it
Yeah,
dissolves into gas, and then is like, okay, what if this accepts in advanced darkness mode? Um,
I,
and it's
I was
fucking
like,
incredible.
kind of fucking transcending to the next plane of existence when it happened to me last night.
That's good. I'm
Yeah,
glad.
like, yeah, you just got that watery bloopy synth, but it's like kind of crystalline now and a little bit sparkly, and like you just got that big reverb haze just washing over everything. Then you got those higher bright resonances coming in really loud. Then you got the wait, was that this song or was that a different song? Okay, yeah, no. That was a different song that I was thinking of actually, but this still fucking owns me. It just goes on for much longer than the Rotar version does, and there's even another extra little slightly buzzy kind of synth that I think is a little exclusive for the last tiny bit of this track here. It totally fucks me. It's yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I I hate this song.
Dang, worst track of the album. Yeah,
Worst track of the
I
album.
you basically said everything I wanted to say, but I wanted to add in that this track was one of the first tracks in Autechre's discography that gave me like fucking insane imagery. To me, this track
Bass.
felt like it feels like watching this television that's like it's like the way that you're viewing it, the angle that you're viewing it makes it look like it's like a fucking carcass that's being raided by vultures,
Oh my
and you're
fucking
just
god.
seeing it like being like ripped apart and destroyed by them for like food that's like living inside of it, and it's like literal fucking like software gore.
Holy shit.
And
I
it's fucking insane. I
that's
love
bass. That's cool.
I love the imagery that I get from this track, and the way that it exists within this dark there's a specific Roblox skyblock that this song specifically reminds me of. I know, whatever. I'm a gigantic nerd.
Yeah.
But there is this like specific one where it's just kind of like the moon that's just like looming. And it's just there.
I see that.
And it's just kind of like this like barren landscape with the moon. And you're just kind of like vibing there with like all these blocks and like kind of like the sky, and in front of you is this TV, and the angle that you're looking, making it look like is like the shadows of the vultures descending upon it.
Yeah.
This song is fucking insane.
Yeah.
I love this song. Yeah.
I think that's about it for Stud. Okay.
That brings us to Eutow.
Yes.
Which is a very interesting track because I think that people either view this as like one of their best tracks of all time, or they're underwhelmed by it. At the end of the day, I think I sit somewhere kind of in the middle.
I start off
think
by
that
saying that
the fucking synths on this track are immaculate. Just like unbelievably textured synths, just like fucking massive ear candy synths that's just blasting into your ears.
Type synth vaguely.
What type synth?
Like a super saw type synth, like where you use a lot of saw waves stacked on top of each other, but it's like this warped Autechre-ified, hyper textured, hyper it's just so much fucking better than it is usually.
Yeah, the way that all of the different synths kind of layer on top of each other, the way that it has Autechre do this one fucking like manipulation to this one synth that like adds into the melody. That's like they glitch it.
Like are you talking about when the bass one like goes up and down really quickly?
No, I think I'm talking about a different one. Yeah,
we're talking about a different thing. Okay. What were you saying?
Oh no. Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. I'm talking about that one. Yeah, it's fucking insane. And then the drums happen. And I like the drums more than I used to. I think that
honestly, same here. Honestly,
Autechre, I think it's a very intentional thing where Autechre are using these just like really weak, shitty drums to kind of highlight just how fucking big these synths are.
But the drum beat in this song is like it starts off at least in a very like straightforward rhythm, and it's like very thin. It's not super textured. It's just kind of like a standard sort of lo-fi electronic drum kit, you know, if not even a bit of a cheap one.
Yeah.
But
I think that it's absolutely like intentional. Yeah, I think that Autechre definitely like aware that the synth itself is not like that the drums are not that the most impressive thing in the world. And I think it does a good job to sort of show the sort of contrast between them. Ultimately, I think my problem is that the track is too short.
Yeah, that's kind of another part of it.
And not in like this is like, you know, a track that I think this track is God tier, therefore it should be 5,000 billion years long. It should
have been given more space to develop into other stuff.
Yeah. And that isn't to say that like the other tracks that we get earlier, obviously we love, but I think that of those tracks, this song definitely is one of them that deserves to be extended to like to 8 minutes, and I think it could justify a length of that. that long.
Yeah, and like even within the only 4 minutes that it does exist, you do get a bit of evolution. Like the drums start having like some weird tuplets and strange rhythms and weird skitters and stuff.
Yeah.
All
There
that
is
nice
there,
Autechre stuff.
yeah, there is some subtle drum manipulation here.
Yeah, and that I gotta give them some credit for that. That makes it not as shit as I used to think the drums of this track were.
Yeah. No
But
credit. No credit to Autechre ever.
no credit to
Drums
Autechre.
are so bad. No,
So
I
bad.
agree with you.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Yeah. That's about Eutow. I
Yeah.
the the drums are kind of cool. There is like this one part where they're doing just like really fast 2-note snaps that are really subtle and difficult to tell they happened. That's kind of neat.
I also
Really, yeah,
I also do really like the outro. Where it's just
yeah.
kind of
That
like this, like repeating. It sounds like I don't want to spoil anything, but it sounds like Marhide. I'm like, this sounds like Marhide to me, like the air
oh,
conditioning thing.
we'll get to that song. Yeah, it's like very hazy and airy outro with like a winding up sound to it. That's really cool. It's just like soft sheets of noise blowing around. I said, my notes, my 3 a.m. notes, I described this as then ends in phasery dawn curtain of dreaming winding up sounds of the soft noise sheets blowing around your body.
Yeah, that's a 3 a.m. thought, all right.
Yeah, but really evocative atmosphere. Yeah, really, it's just all about those fucking evocative, transcendental night highway, reaching a higher plane of fucking existence synths, and
Yeah,
those synths are the song, and that's it.
yeah. I mean the drums are pretty sick. I do like the drums.
Yeah,
Still, but yeah, yeah. Do you want to?
that's
Is
Eutow.
that all you had to say? Okay.
Yeah.
So that brings us to C Patch, which
Oh yeah.
feels like in a lot of ways the sister track to Eutow.
Yeah.
They're
It's
both
the other short one,
yeah, they're both like 4 minute tracks.
right?
And they both I think I don't know.
They both
They
have
just have like a
certain.
very similar energy to them to me.
Yeah.
Um,
They both have like certain synth sounds that absolutely fuck me up. We'll
yeah,
get to that. I
yeah.
do think.
I view C Patch as like this really fucking like the beat on this track sounds like an insane hip hop beat.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I love the way that they introduce these lush ass synths on top of
Yeah.
it. Um,
God. Yeah. Like I just want to talk about the beat of this track real quick because it's so fucking good.
yeah,
you have like this really like it's almost sort of aggressive, not super aggressive, but it does have like an edge and a punch to it. You got this hip hop rhythm that's just kind of drilling away with these little crystalline, high pitched details on it. Not quite as harsh as stud, but still like really tiny crystals like fucking growing on the beat and adding to the rhythm. It bangs. It bangs. I chair dance fucking hard to this song. Um, and it's got some cool texture too. Like you got there's like this pitch percussion thing that it's like it's almost like hitting a balloon almost, like a big
yes,
hollow thing.
yes.
Yes,
I know what you're talking about. Yes,
yeah,
that's a very weird descriptor, but that's what it sounds like.
yeah. It's like very bassy and hollow, and it moves around in pitch to create a melody. Yeah, really cool. You got these weird little soft tendrils of noise that are like encrusted in lo-fi griminess that just kind of like snake their way through the fucking soundscape. One of my favorite textural tracks, honestly, now that I'm really thinking about it.
There's also this cool little like metallic sound that always comes in after every beat hit, or like after every measure or whatever.
I might know what you were talking about. Maybe. That's a cool little detail you picked up if I didn't notice it. There's a lot of
It
weird
sounds
metallic
awesome.
noises. Yeah. Yeah, so let's can we talk about the synth now?
Yeah, the synth, my beloved. I
Yes,
fucking love the synths on this track. They're so this album has been, especially like Stud and Rotar are such like dark tracks, and
yeah.
Eutow even being light like it is still has this air of like darkness to it. But
Yeah, and then like like there's this, I wasn't gonna mention it actually at first, but there's this one synth that comes in before the main one that I want to talk about that it fits with what you just said, because it sounded to me like it was melancholic, but it was sort of like looking up and hopeful in vibe, like the
yeah, it is.
melancholy was in its past.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's kind of the vibe. It's a very like warm, inviting sort of track. It
yeah,
feels, it feels sort of triumphant and victorious. Like you
yeah,
said, yeah.
totally. And like, yeah, then the main synth that I wanted to talk about, I think you've just been trying to get to this point the whole song too. I don't know what the fuck it is. Like last time, I kind of heard it first as like a sampled 808 cowbell type sound, but with this, I don't know what the fuck they did to it, but it has some kind of filter that's just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
It just creates this crazy colorful space around it that's just so unbelievably vivid to me.
No, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and then
I love that sound.
you have like this very nostalgic kind of melody that slides all around the pitchscape, um, just like with that weird colorful sampled sound to it. It's one of the most insane atmospheres on the album to me, like, and that's really saying something at this point, because we've had some crazy atmospheres, but it's just so nostalgic and deep and mysterious, and it like it points to the beyond.
Yeah, I love this track.
Yeah,
I think it's short, but it's fucking sweet as hell.
yeah, I totally agreed with that. Yeah, and it's a lot more colorful and a lot more packed than Eutow too. It has a lot more going on to it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's really good. Uh, yeah, and you've got some extra hi-hat rhythms that are really sharp and choppy and kind of cheeky, and another little melody that adds in a little bit of extra brightness to it towards the end. But really, yeah, it's just a happy, nostalgic little hip hop banger.
Yay. Happy music. Yeah, in
Yay!
a way it is kind of like the cousin to Slip.
I see that. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
they're different, but I think both kind of being like some of the more warm and uplifting Autechre tracks,
yeah.
which Autechre, I I feel like
They both
Autechre does
have a
not have a
very
lot of those.
they both Autechre doesn't have a lot. No, um, Autechre makes a lot of very dark music, but
Yeah,
yeah, this good, colorful nostalgia burst of goodness.
Yeah. All right. Do you wanna? And that brings us to Gnit.
Yep. Here we go. This is gonna be a fun
Uh,
one.
I basically have nothing to talk about
Um,
this track. Um,
um,
I, I,
that's
okay.
valid. That's
I
I
think
see.
I think this track has some pretty cool sound design. I
Yeah.
like the little like thwoompy sounds. That thwoomp is not a word, and nobody is gonna understand what that means. But I hope you kind of get what I'm trying to talk about here. Um,
Hopefully.
the
Uh.
a lot of the sounds here. I think this song. I like a lot of the sound design, but I think
Uh-huh.
the percussion is really weak, and not in a good way.
I see that.
And I generally think that this song is just kind of underdeveloped and not the best. It
Yeah.
starts in a place that I don't really like, and so the rest of the song is kind of colored by that vibe too.
Yeah. I will say I agree that this is definitely like my weakest track on here.
Yeah,
Spoilers. But I mean, it's cool, and I will like talk a little bit about it, but it is like very skeletal feeling.
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good way to put it. I think it feels very empty compared to a
it's
lot of other tracks here.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and not in like the dark sort of way. I think that this track is a lighter track.
I'm not even really sure what the fuck it is, honestly.
Yeah, that's fair. I do think it is pretty surreal. I will give it
Um,
that. I think
it,
that I like how surreal this track is.
yeah, it's almost kind of a sister track to Leterel in that it's really just trying to go for a really altered, removed kind of soundscape. But for me, it just I don't know. It dives even further into that kind of weird fake people music, um, dreamlike surrealism. But
Fake people music
yeah, it's fake people music.
as opposed to real people music. You,
Yeah, yeah, it's not real people music. It is
okay,
not real people
noted,
music.
noted.
Yeah,
Totally understood.
yeah. Um, you do get some nice textures though that I want to talk about. You know, the weird anti-beat that happens that's like
Yeah,
not fucking anything at all.
yeah.
Really open.
That's the main thing that I have against this track. I just don't think that the percussion really works very well, and I think
Yeah,
the sounds are kind of like
it's
lacking.
very it's very metallic and thin and staticky in a similar way to Lateral, but even further. Yeah, I do think that it has a really cool, unique synth texture and like that very quickly modulating one that feels almost scribbly. Has like a very, it's like wah, 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 wah. It's kind of cool, you
Yeah,
know. There's some cool percussion stuff that fits in later that, you know, it works. It doesn't super make the song super elevated, but it's neat. Let's see. I do think that there's the one point later on where it develops a little bit of something where it has this kind of sunny sounding synth just doing a little simple two note melody. It's it's adds kind of a brightness, but it also feels like it's doing less than it should. It's really fucking weird. Um,
yeah. I think weird is a good way to describe this track in general. It
yeah,
is
this
just like
it's
a
just
weird ass song.
yeah. Um, you do get like some little Radley sounds coming off of the percussion every now and then that I think is a cool little detail. Then like okay. Maybe I do have a little bit of something to say about the song. This has the thing that I first thought happened in the what was it, Rotar outro. But poor Gnit, even like its cool thing that I thought happened here at the end, I thought was on Rotar instead. Poor fucking song. Yeah, there's this one synth that comes in later on that's it's a little bit like the watery synth and stud, but it's a little bit sharper and it doesn't go as far with its delay trap. Um, it's kind of like a B grade version of the stud synth. I'm sorry, Gnit. I'm so sorry that I keep doing this to you.
Another thing to note, I don't hear anyone talking about this song, like, ever. Like, out of all of the Autechre songs, on a major album at least, I never see anybody talk about this song.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe there are Gnit stands out there, but
that would be cool to hear from one if there is someone out there.
Yeah,
like if you're a Gnit stan, totally get in touch with us. We want to hear it.
Yes, send an email.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it does have this cool little thing in the outro where it goes it brings in like this phasery, or wait, hold on. Fuck, was this Rotar? Oh god.
How did you mix up Rotar and Gnit? They're not in the same.
God, this is so bad. I don't know what. Oh, one of these songs.
I think this just exemplifies that it is very, very weird and surreal track.
Yeah, and like not one of the particularly good ones, but definitely one of the weird ones.
Yeah.
On one of these fucking songs, there's like a phaser effect with some haze on the outro where maybe that's in song that's coming up later even. God, what the fuck is wrong with me?
Did you not organize your notes by song?
I just keep thinking about this little part, and I keep thinking it's in the notes for this song, but then I actually look in the notes and it's not there. I guess it's not in it either. So that little weirdo song doesn't even have the phasery thing. I hoped.
I don't think it has.
We talked about you for way longer than we should have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Want to move on to Overand?
Absolutely. I fucking love Overand. I love this song. It's such a different song from the rest of the album.
It's the ambient song. It's the Yolkwen of this album.
It's the Yolkwen of this album. It's not as good as Yolkwen, but like basically no track from this era is. But I still fucking love the song. I love how gentle it is. The synths, the way that they feel kind of cavernous and like mysterious and sort of ominous in like this really, really unique and interesting way.
It's like very wistful and melancholic to me too.
Yeah,
almost kind of yearning.
Yeah, there's this game on Neopets that I played as a kid. That was like this cave game, exploring game or something.
Repetae video game album.
Basically, no. I think a lot of Autechre's stuff can very much validly be considered video game music.
That's true.
Or be viewed through that lens. But yeah, there's just this game, and it reminds me of that game a lot, either because I think it sounds similar to the music, or it has like a very similar vibe. I love the synths here. I love the melody that they play and how just like awesome they are. The percussion, the little tiny, minuscule, barely existent percussion. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and then you also have like some some little high pitched sparkly kind of noises.
Yes, I love the
that emerge
sparkles.
in this. Yes, very nice little sparkles. Yeah, and then the percussion is just really nice. It's like it's like very soft and chilled out, but it also adds a lot of intensity to it. Like like there's this break in the middle of the song where it's just going with these drums just pacing out, and like also like these little metallic scraping kind of noises that just kind of arise and leave a little reverb mark and a little bit of atmosphere. You know what I'm talking about?
I think I do know what you're talking about.
It's a little bit like the background splashes in Yolkwin, but a bit sharper.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a break in the middle where it's just really stripped back to just like those sounds, just very minimal, and the drums going, and like the way that the drums are in the track there, it's like it adds this real intensity to it, that's just kind of lurking, and it's like it's really building up and really tense and like really just drawing you in, but it's also super chill at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. That's something a bit different that it does from Yolkwin, for sure. Yeah, and it mostly just kind of hangs out in that area, you got a bass synth doubling the main melody that just tears at your heartstrings, and actually wait, tiny nerd detail. Tiny nerd detail.
I need nerd detail alert. We
Yeah.
will.
I actually don't know when this starts in the song. I think I kind of noticed it like after, and it's not like a detail I've super paid attention to before, but in the percussion there's this tiny little bit of noise that has like a brushed kind of feel. Like
Brush.
yeah, like with brushed percussion. I know that's definitely a thing.
What do you
And
mean by brush
Autechre too.
percussion?
Like literally like when you take a brush or whatever and just move it over a snare to get like that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I get what you
Yeah,
mean.
it's doing that, and it's cool.
I don't know if I hear that, but I'll
It's
have to
I think
re-examine.
I think this was my first listen where I actually noticed that little particular thing. Um, but it's cool. It's like almost a little bit jazzy or loungy, just because I think that's where I associate that texture with.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, um, yeah, it's just it. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really have that much else to say. I think the sound design is incredible.
Yeah,
The song doesn't really evolve or anything. But
yeah, it's
like,
one of the ones that hangs out more in one sort of vibe and just goes in waves. Aside from that one little break, of course.
yeah, the track doesn't have to evolve. Not every track has to be a fucking
It.
super intense track.
Yeah, and this one can just hang out with all of its neat little aspects and create a cool little glassy, sparkly, wistful soundscape.
Yahoo! I agree.
Yes. Okay.
That
Are we
brings
ready
us
then?
to Rsdio, or
Rsdio.
or
Eh,
Rsdio, or however the fuck you want to pronounce it.
Just say regular radio if you want. It actually don't do that. I don't do that.
Why not?
It's radio, but it has an S instead of an A. It's it's a good word and it's very pronounceable.
Okay, whatever. Whatever. Yeah, I think this song is. Well, do you want to go first?
Um, yeah, this is one that we're probably going to have a bit of a differing opinion on. I
Mayhaps.
feel. Yeah. Yeah, this is very obviously like the big closer of the album. It's the longest one. I am 99% sure.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Um,
Only one that's over 10.
yeah. Yeah. True. Um, yeah, and immediately, like, we get thrown into this groove. It has like a very liquidy sound to it. It's like very, but it's also like very spiky too. It's like ferrofluid. It's like they're making fucked up, deformed ferrofluid spikes, and they're like forming them into a groove with magnetic fields. Um, it just does
Okay.
this.
I don't. Did ferrofluid exist before this album came out?
I don't know. That's a good question, actually. I don't know when ferrofluid was first invented, but that's what it sounds like to me. And it just makes this bang and groove. Honestly, I really like this song mostly just because of the groove it makes. Kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's just,
the buzzing sound.
yeah. That's another way to describe it. It's kind of like buzzing.
That's how I perceive it. I perceive it as like buzzing and like
Yeah,
manipulations of the buzz.
yeah. But mostly I like the song for that reason. It just rides. It's so intense to me, and it makes me like get down. Uh, yeah. I'm not quite sure that's something that you get into quite as hard as I do. I guess we'll let you express that as you need.
Yeah, I mean I used to be a very big hater of this track. Like
Oh,
I actually like did like I mean I didn't hate the track, but I was like, okay, this is definitely one of the weakest Autechre tracks. Um
uh-huh.
but
But
I like it more now. I
hey,
still
hey, that's good.
I'm still not like in complete love with the track.
Uh-huh.
I still think that there's some I wish the track developed more. It does develop, but it doesn't like develop a lot. And
I
develop
can
and like
understand that sort of critique.
and I think the sound design is cool, but I don't think it's as cool as other tracks on the album. Um,
Yeah, okay.
but
I
it's yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, it could definitely develop a little bit more. I agree, and maybe it doesn't have like the most super Omega sound design. Like there are some other songs that really fucking take the title here. But yeah, I think that groove just fucking carries it for me. And there is some evolution in here, like there's one synth that it has a sound to me that it's like very kind of translucent and hazy almost, and it makes me picture aerogel in my head when it comes on. Uh,
Ferrofluid aerogel.
Ferrofluid and aerogel. Yeah, the Autechre materials. Hell yeah, we're getting into it.
We're Autechre looking like a Nile Red video today.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, that was a really good one, actually. Yeah,
Thanks. Yeah, and I don't perceive it in that way. I
yeah,
just think that like it's some cool sounds.
yeah.
I think it's a cool track. Um, I do really like the buzzing sort of sound. I like how they use that as percussion, and
Uh-huh.
I particularly like the sort of ambient washes that come in the
Yeah,
second half of the track. I think that they work extremely
yeah,
well.
yeah. I
Um,
really love the noise washes that come in. Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of the track for sure.
yeah,
It it, it
and
really it really like creates a really dreamy and surreal atmosphere for me later on when those get heavier.
yeah, I like how the track. There's a lot of there's like a few tracks that do this, but I like how the track developed that kind of dissolves into nothingness. But this is the
Yeah.
D track that like throughout its like entire runtime is just like from when it starts. It's like a balloon slowly deflating over the course of 10 minutes that just becomes like nothing. Um it's a really
Sort of.
cool effect.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I do think like the track has some moments within it like where it feels like it does pick up energy. It's not like a constant deflation. Like, like there's some points where it almost feels like the groove restarts itself after going down a little corridor. Um, there's like this extra halftime groove that comes in at some point that adds a bit of extra weight and heaviness to it. Um, I think those elements are good at like keeping up the momentum of the song as it rides out throughout its like thing. And you got like some other little percussion elements that comes in. There's like a little hand drum noise and just some other tri-rep noises in there.
Dry rep noises
Tri-rep
trademark design.
noises. Yeah. And then there's what do I want to talk about here?
I also like the melody too of the track. I think that the melody of the track, the sort of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that really like dark sort of dissonant
Yeah,
melody
yeah.
is really cool and it works really well.
Yeah, I really I do think that adds to the intensity a lot. That it's another thing that comes together to help build up the whole vibe that the song has. Yeah, and then there's like later on, like this is what I was talking about. This is what I was talking about in the outro of the song. Uh, this is the thing that I was trying to talk about in fucking Rotar and Gnit. This is what it has.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the outro of this song that I was trying to talk about the whole time.
Good to
Where,
know.
yes, where there's just like this, the noise washes of the latter part of the track just uh, slowly wash over everything, and they take on this phased out vibe that then just gets like applied and
Yes.
stuck to all the other sounds.
Yeah,
Uh,
there is actually a phaser in this track for once.
yes, yes, it's so good, and I am weak to it,
Yeah,
and
you are weak to phasers.
yeah, and um it's just like such a fucking good little ending. And that you also that sounds really nice over like this other little texture that's been running through the track. It's like a little airstream modulating around. It's been going for a good part of the track, but it really it sounds good in the outro here with all of the other hazy, airy kind of textures that are going. Yeah, and it just kind of like fades out on top of, or it just fades out with that noise haze going that has kind of a metallic sheen to it every now and then, and just modulates around for like a full minute.
Yeah.
Good fucking, yeah, I love that.
Definitely my favorite part of the track.
Yeah, I love that Autechre are here just starting to have big textural fade out endings, like where it's not even like melody ambience, it's just texture going out for a long ass amount of time. It's so good.
Yeah,
It's really
I agree.
lovely.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, and then I think there's this one little tiny detail that's kind of nice at the end. One last little thing. There's at the very end, after all the noise wash is faded out, there's just a little bit of bass hum and a little bit of like dull rumbling movement. It's not super interesting, but it's really obscure and mysterious, especially as a way to end the album. Um,
I'm
and
not
yeah, yeah,
sure if I've heard that.
it's really quiet. I think I like had to amplify it to be able to hear it good, or like turn my headphones all the way up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's it's a good song that could evolve a little bit more, but it's really intense all the way throughout for me, and it does have nice little Autechre bits to it.
I like the reverb space that it exists within.
It has a good reverb space, that's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess that's everything.
Oh yeah, yes.
Try rep.
Any more final thoughts you would like to add?
Yeah, just because we got to go over fave tracks, least favorite tracks,
Oh right, yeah.
and
Okay.
overall rating. Yeah, this album has grown on me. Um, maybe again it will
Yeah,
ungrow on me, but as it stands, I think that I like basically every single track now,
yeah.
if not love.
That's good.
Um,
Cool.
and the thing is, I think all the tracks are within a sort of similar quality bubble. Um,
Uh-huh.
unlike unlike a lot of other Autechre albums, which makes it
Ooh.
difficult for me to be like, um, this album is particularly a standout because well, blah. But I think all of the tracks are similar in quality, which I think makes it easier. I think this is a step up from the sound design on Amber.
Yeah, that like
But at
I
the end
mean
of the day,
Amber was a step up from Incunabula, but then this was like a totally different realm. Like
yeah,
you have a much more metallic, jagged kind of feel to this on the whole.
yeah. But I ultimately think I do like Amber either as much or a bit more. Um,
That's valid. That's
my
valid.
track ranking is going to be at last place is Gnit,
Yeah.
uh, and then all the other tracks are kind of within the same area of quality. At 9 we have Rsdio, 8 I have Eutow, 7 I have
Ooh.
Pach, 6 I have Overand, 5 I have Dael, 4 I have Stud, um,
Oh.
3 I have Rotar, which I guess I can put that on number 2. Or all of these top 4 are these 3 are interchangeable. Stud, Rotar, and Clipper I think are basically same level of quality. And
Yeah.
then, of course, at number 1, I have Leterel, which is my baby now and
Okay.
forever. And
Okay.
I will give the
That's valid.
album a decent to strong 8 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I wish that I could dunk on this album because like it is their most typically favored one. I wish I could have the contrarian opinion here, but honestly, it is my favorite of the ones they've made up to this point. It's not going to continue to be my favorite by any means, but I personally do think at this point for me it's better than the albums that preceded it. Yeah, I would say my least favorite track is definitely Poor Gnit, Fake People
Yeah.
Music.
Fake people music.
Yeah. If I really had to choose another one, if I was really forced to, I might go for Dael, maybe, but that I don't really want to
You're
too
grounded.
much.
You're banned.
Yeah, I figured.
I mean, like, I put it at number, like, 6 or whatever. Or I put it
Yeah,
at number 5.
yeah,
Which, I mean, like, is still pretty high, but,
yeah. But I
banned.
would say band. No, no. I would say my favorites, my absolute standouts are Clipper. Um, a little side shout out to Leterel. It really impressed me with its atmosphere
I'll be a
this
side shout
time.
out.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That means I hate the song. That means I think
Yeah,
it's
it
really bad.
absolutely does.
Um, Stud. I think honestly that's my favorite track here.
Yeah,
By a pretty decent margin.
yeah, I figured.
um, and Eutow gets a light shout out because its synths are one of my highlights of the album, but the drums are. I get why they are the way they are, but I still wish they were a little bit more.
I think I like Utah more than you.
Real, really okay,
Yeah, because I'm not as bothered by the drum.
interesting.
I'm bothered more just by it being
Yeah.
song, which is why the live version is cool, but the drums on the live version are worse. So
Oh
there's
God.
that.
Oh, that's just awful. No, I do love the synths. The synths are genuinely like one of my favorite things on the entire album. Like it's a highlight just for those alone. I also like Pach, however you pronounce it, the other short one,
Patch.
and I also like Rsdio a lot. So yeah, I think that's my list. It's a very I almost want to say it's more colorful, which is really weird. Um, Maybe it's just a couple tracks giving me that perception of it, but I feel like there's a lot of variation and a lot of exploration in a way that I don't necessarily remember from InQ or Amber. That just like in the different sounds that they explore, um, gives me very different, varied kind of impressions as compared to the other albums. But yeah, overall, I'm gonna give it my final score here, 9.1. How about that?
9. Wait. Okay. All right. Well, you're
Yeah,
giving it a 9.
yeah. Autechre is creeping up here. I can't resist it.
I feel like you're
Maybe
going to start handing out 10s by the
maybe it could be
dozen
just
too.
a flat 9. Maybe not a 9.1. Maybe it doesn't deserve that 0.1. I don't know.
Remove the 0.1 because of Gnit's crimes. Yeah, basically, I would give it a 9 if it weren't for Name. Like that's kind of my stance right now. And if I liked Rsdio a
It's
bit more,
either a
maybe.
9. It's either a 9 because of Gnit or a 9.1 because of Stud.
Yeah, that's fair. And on the
Okay.
screen, we can have Amity transpose her track ratings. She
Yes.
will be joining us next week.
Yes,
Finally! Yay!
Yay!
But first, I'm gonna have to give her a 0 out of 10 for giving Stud a 2 out of 5. She says, about time you get to the good albums, even though she's rated most of the tracks on TriRep a 3 or higher, 3 stars or higher, 3 out of 5, so 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Amity is posting a troll face in chat.
Yeah, she's a meanie. I'm mad at you for giving Leterel a 3. It should be at least a 4. Rotar should be a 4. Frick you for giving Rsdio out of all tracks a 4.
I'm not too
and
upset
not
about that
Leterel, Rotar, or Stud, or Overand, or Dael. Frick you. But next week, we will be tackling Autechre's 4th album, Chiastic Slide. We will be joined finally by the feline, the cat, Amity, who will be it'll be extra fun. Hopefully we can make these videos not become 5,000 billion years long. Hopefully we can rein ourselves in. But if you have any comments on Chiastic Slide, feel free to send in an email at CCCcast with a Z, like the Autechre song, at gmail.com. It'll be a link in the description, so you can just copy and paste that. Use that for your all of your emailing needs. If you have any thoughts about Chiastic Slide you would like for us to share or discuss on next week's podcast, hit us up. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed, and we will see you next time when all three of us.
It will only be you.
It will only be me. I will just be ranting about Chiastic Slide. No, all three of us will be there next week, so it's a big episode. And I think we have a lot of interesting thoughts about Chiastic Slide.
This is going to be a really interesting album. Yeah.
Be sure to tune in next week. Until then, I hope you have a good week, and we will see you then.
See you then. Goodbye.